Hey guitar players, Corey Hicks here, and one thing I find a lot of students struggle with is their chord vocabulary. Especially blues players, they're always kind of using the same things over and over again. So if this is you, today we're going to talk about how drop twos can help you expand your chord vocabulary and have a lot more fun at the gig or the jam session. Okay? So if you're starting off with like a C7 or a C9 type of thing, okay, and you want to expand your chord vocabulary, we're going to start off with drop 2. And this is actually a drop 2. This is your basic bar chord C7 that you probably already know. And so what does the term drop 2 mean? Well, essentially it's a closed voice chord. So here I have a C major 7, 1, 3, 5, 7 from the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, the C major scale. And all we're doing is we're taking the second note from the top, which is G, and dropping it an octave. That's what the drop 2 means. The second note from the top drops an octave. That B, that's the same octave. And we end up with this chord, which is exactly like your E major chord with the pinky added to create E7. It's the same shape. So we're starting on common ground, something you already know, which is great because that's going to help us to move faster when we get through this. Okay? So we're going to start off with a C7 chord here. And we're going to start memorizing this by its interval and, of course, the note names. So this is a C, a G, a B flat, and an E. That's the first perfect fifth, flatted seventh, and major third of a C Mixolydian scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. C Mixolydian is the fifth mode of the key of F major. So if I take an F major scale starting in this location, I would get G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F, G, A, B flat. Now a lot of you are going to say that looks like the G Dorian scale, but reminder, it's only G Dorian if a G minor 7 is being played. So you have to think of it as C Mixolydian. Okay? That's a C Mixolydian scale. All right, so that's what's going on inside of here. And so when we learn these chords, we're also learning the intervals and everything so we can be more effective soloists. So we can actually play through the scale, and we're actually looking at that shape. Like the next one we're going to talk about, the drop 2 itself can, be a fairly effective arpeggio for that key. Okay, so the rule with drop 2s is 1s become 3s, 5s become flat 7s, flat 7s become 1s, and 3s become 5s. They always go to the very next interval. Again, that C, which is the root, will become E, which is the third. My perfect fifth G will become my B flat, which is going to be my flat 7. Okay? My B flat becomes my C, which is the root, and the major third, which was E, is going to become G. Let me get this. All right, so now I have 3, flat 7, 1, and 5 of a C7 chord. And then I also have the scale in that location, C Mixolydian, which is based on, again, the F major scale, but pattern 3 in this case. So that's why we need to know our major scales, because they instantly become modal patterns for us. A, B flat, C, D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C. That's a C Mixolydian scale starting from A in this position, and that chord is inside of there. And so if you're just learning this stuff, I would highly recommend you do little vamps like this. Okay, moving on to our next one. We're going to have the E, which is the major third, is going to become the fifth. Our flat 7, B flat, becomes the root. Our 1, which is C, is now going to become our 3, which is E. And our G, which is our perfect fifth, becomes our flat 7, which is B flat. Now we have this chord, which is, again, like I mentioned earlier, this is a E chord. Put the pinky down, move that up to C. Okay? And we also have a C Mixolydian scale in this location, which is based on the F major scale again, right? So this is F major pattern 5, C, D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, D, and E. So now we have that's where that scale pattern comes from, okay? So we have that in that area. Again, practicing these. Until you get comfortable. All right, so now we're going to move on to the next one. 5s become flat 7s, so my G becomes a B flat. 1s become 3s, so that C becomes an E. My E becomes a G. and then my flat 7 B flat becomes a C, and we get this voicing up top, which is actually based on our this little first inversion C triad that we talked about last week, okay? And so that's obviously a C triad with the B flat on the bottom. All right, so now we have and you can kind of do that type of thing where you're creating that little practicing thing, okay? So all right, up top we have a F major scale in this location, pattern 7 of the F major scale, which is going to be C mixolydian at the 12th fret, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F, G. That's in that location. This is where we get a lot of our B.B. King stuff from. Comes from that little thing right there, okay? Now, we can also take this and move this to the high E string set. So that's going to be our C7s up here. And the same process would follow. I would take my first inversion C7 here, and I would do the same process to get those chords up there. We can also take all of these shapes, cycle for them so that we can find them quickly. So if I take my C7, F7, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, F sharp, B, E, A, D, G, move on to the next one, C, F, B flat, E flat, go down to A flat, and then D flat, and then F sharp, and then B, and then E, and then A, and then D, and then we have a G up here. We're going to go through all of those, okay? And so that would be the practicing plan. You just every day, if you're doing this for 15 minutes or so, you're going to spend that time working through these until you get all of them together. And then you collect them as a set. Okay? Now, we're going to play a blues using this, okay? So I can go. That's how you play a drop 2 blues. Of course, I wouldn't be that, verbose or that busy if I was playing an actual blues gig, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what a lot of things sound like if you are able to kind of get through all these patterns, connecting them with the scales, getting fluency with this stuff. So what did I need to be able to get through this whole thing? I needed all of my C7 chords like I showed you, right? And then I needed all my F7s that I had prepared, right? And we do this by getting used to cycle 4 all over the neck. And then the 5 chord, of course, is a G7. Okay? And so then you can connect all those. I usually tell students a blues is a really good way to start off with this, because then you're going to be able to play, 3 different drops, or drop 2 with their inversions, right? So we have C7, F7, and G7, okay? Now, if you want to take this a little bit further, you can start adding in the other shapes that I was talking about. So my C7, if I want to make that a C major 7, I raise the flat 7 to a raised 7. So that's just my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, natural 7, right? And then if I want to take my C7 and make it a C minor 7, I lower that 3 to become a E flat, okay? And then if I want to make that E or C minor 7 a C minor 7 flat 5, I lower the 5, and that gives us our C minor 7 flat 5, which is also known as half diminished, and then C fully diminished. So I could go through and go C7, 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 C major 7, C major 7, C major 7, C major 7, C minor 7, minor 7, minor 7, and then if I could squeeze up here, minor 7, and then C half diminished, C half diminished, half diminished, and half diminished, and then my fully diminished chords, which are all symmetrical and look the same. And you can do that on all the other strings. And this is how we can start coming up with things. If I wanted like a C minor 7, all my minor sevenths, and you can start coming up with some pretty interesting parts. All right, so this should get you guys started. If you want the actual PDFs from all of these charts, you can go over to my Patreon. The description below is going to have the information for that. If you want to sign up for lessons, you can email me or sign up on the Patreon. We can talk about that. I give lessons over Zoom. That's pretty much it for today. I think that this is a wonderful thing to add to your playing. Just remember, as guitar players, we're one of only a few instruments in the world that can play chords, and so many guitar players have poor chord vocabulary. So get on it, add this to your playing. It makes you a much more effective comper and a soloist. All right, that's enough for today. We'll see you soon. Peace.